Hey, good Monday morning, June 23rd, 2025, here just a little after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Michael Clark with BAM Weather. We're going to talk about the forecast this week and the potential for some significant rainfall concerns, some flooding risks here across the central portion of the country, and then the continuation of some heat, but maybe some back and forth, which offers up the chance for strong storm clusters, but also eastern U.S. cold fronts that may offer up reprieves or shots of cooler air as we get into July. So a lot to discuss today. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend. We'll get right into it. Radar here this morning as of a little after, again, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going to start to see the radar really fire up here over the course of the next couple of days across the central portion of the country, where we're going to be looking at, again, the potential for flooding, severe weather, you name it. Today's outlook's going to show a chance for a slight risk for strong storms across Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and through Wisconsin, Michigan. Tomorrow's outlook, it kind of shifts a little bit. We see the strong storm chance in the far western third of the Central Plains. But again, anywhere in the marginal risk area has the potential for a stronger thunderstorm as well as day 3. And again, some of these are going to have the potential to probably be more so in the form of clusters of thunderstorms as well. So the other part of this is the excessive rainfall outlook. Anywhere you see in this slight risk area here, this is where we're going to have the potential for localized flooding, potentially significant flooding down there in the southwest, and then getting into the kind of the heart of the grain belt day 1. Day 2, that excessive rainfall risk continues to focus over Iowa, northern Illinois, portions of eastern Nebraska, northern Missouri, with a moderate risk down here in the southwest. All right, so this is a look here at the day 2. We'll go here to day 3, and you can see again at the same spot. We're kind of targeting areas over and over again for, again, the potential for flooding. There's probably going to be, at the end of this 3-day period, too much rain for a lot of people. All right. In fact, we look at the forecast here, the 3-day rainfall forecast inside of our Clarity platform, and you can see just what we're looking at here with the focus on it being across portions of Nebraska. That's a 3-inch forecast there in central Iowa. Now, this is a blend of all the weather models. And so what that means is that this could be a conservative approach to this forecast, but nonetheless, that much rain in 3 days certainly could prove to be problematic. What I do want to show you here, we'll go to the synoptic weather page, and I'll show you the latest run of the overnight run of some of these weather models that are showing just how much rain could be possible, localized, heavier totals here. Again, you can see locally we're spitting out some big totals here. This is from the RRFS, which is a version, one of these higher resolution computer models, and that's the overnight run. Here was last night's run. Very similar. Again, nonetheless, you can kind of see what I'm talking about with some of these localized suggestions of very extreme rainfall totals coming in with this setup. So just something to keep in mind. It is going to be a busy one, but a lot of these forecasts too are probably going to struggle on the hit and miss nature. I think the further into the east where you have these tiny pop-up thunderstorms, I think the evening run of the RRFS is doing well at seeing the potential with that. There's the overnight run. And I want to show you kind of what I mean by this in terms of the nature of these pop-ups. It can be very, very difficult to pinpoint. It's with the heating of the day, and they develop under the periphery of the ridge, or under the core of the heat dome, if you will. And wherever they pop up, they really have the potential to be very intense. Now, there's no way to know exactly where they're going to be, but it'll be between like 3 to 8 p.m. every day, and they won't move a lot. They'll be very stationary, and as the storms collapse, they have the potential to throw out straight line winds and cause damage, wind damage, and damage to crops and things like that. So they can be locally, hyper-local, very intense thunderstorms that don't do a lot of moving. And under these types of situations where there's this excessive heat, that's what these storms can do when you get this much instability to build into the atmosphere. There's high levels of instability, and so that creates the explosive environment for thunderstorm development. Okay, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about there. So just something to keep in mind. These pop-ups in the east locally can be problematic, along with the potential here for the heavier stuff out to the west. You can look at it, looks like popcorn there. So just something to keep in mind. Let's take a look here at the month-to-date precipitation departures here for June. Overall, it's been rather wet, especially in the desert southwest and then in the southern plains, running as much as really 170 to spots being 300% of the normal, especially Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri there, and in the east as well. Drier in the Dakotas, portions of Iowa, and Nebraska and Kansas is where it's been a little bit drier, certainly drier there to the west. And then temperatures, it's not been crazy one way or the other. It's been warmer than average across kind of the heart of the grain belt. We've had some cooler departures too in portions of Kansas and the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, but there hasn't been extremes one way or the other, at least until right now, with what you're seeing in the temperature departure, obviously right now with how intense the heat has been, right? So, again, something to just keep in mind that this is the heat. It's shown up quickly, right? It's been something that has taken time to materialize, but now that it's here, it's certainly been rather impressive. This is just the apparent temperature forecast again as you continue to go throughout the day today. It's into the 100s and the 90s here. This is for the central U.S. We'll go over here to the Ohio Valley. And then you see as we continue to get into Tuesday, this really continues a lot this week, especially in the east and the south, where temperatures are going to be feeling like 100+ degrees. Where it's raining and where that boundary is where it's not as hot, right? But again, look at Wednesday afternoon back and still 100+ degrees. So air conditioning is going to be cranking across the heavily populated areas here, really all week long. That's Wednesday. Again, there's Thursday. It's really no end in sight for the time being out through Saturday, and just really a heat wave that's got a big grip here on the country. And so the forecast right now, you can see that's where the periphery of the ridge is, or the center of the ridge where the heat is focused in the next 5 days. And you can kind of watch as this starts to flatten out a little bit and at least give way. But what we continue to note here is more of this kind of this flow pattern, if you will, being from kind of this northwest. See if we can northwest to southeast flow. My recorder here has been giving me a bunch of problems that I can't draw on the map, and that's very unfortunate. Let's see if we can do that here. But so yeah, it seems to be working now. But the pattern is going to kind of come into this flow pattern where this 588 line is really focused. It's going to continue to shoot chances of thunderstorms and moisture, clusters of storms up and over this ridge. And that's going to kind of continue to be a thing. In fact, when we go forward here, and we continue to see how this progresses, you can see just even all the way out into the extended period in the 10 to 15, you can see this suggestion of this line kind of continuing to be thrown right through here. At times, that ridge will expand into the central U.S., and then it will contrast, and it will kind of go back and forth. Well, the tendency will be, as that happens, to see eastern U.S. troughing come in. Cooler temps, but thunderstorm clusters that will come in between them. Okay, that's kind of the idea right now with that. And what that's going to mean is it is going to offer up chances for precipitation to be above normal at times. In fact, I'm going to show you the 6 to 10 and the 11 to 15 day departures. But you can see how it's wet here in the south, in the central U.S. In fact, I would favor the American model here more than I would the European on the left. But you can also see just the suggestion here of how you're going to continue to have this active corridor of moisture in here underneath the heat. All right, and these are going to offer up the potential to be, to have strong storms with these types of setups. Now, again, I mentioned temperatures, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. where it gets really warm here, but then you can kind of see suggestions of the ridge going west and offering up cooler episodes here into the east. You can see it in the week 2 outlook. You can see that the focal point of the precipitation, again, just offering up the ability the potential to be above normal. So I'm going to try to illustrate this for you a little bit because this can be confusing. This pattern can be difficult. This is the EPS right now. And this is where I think, we take this pattern here and we correlate it into the central U.S. I think late into the first week of July, maybe even July 4th weekend, there's a cold front that comes through and knocks down heat and offers things to be a little bit less intense with the heat. Maybe a storm system's in there even possibly. And then what happens, watch the ridge come back a little bit. Right? See this here? You're kind of going back and forth in the Aleutian Islands, and then it does it again. See it right there? There's another trough that shows up. And so the way I kind of foresee this is you have the ridge expand, and it gets hot for a few days, and then as it contrasts, the northwest flow comes in, brings thunderstorm clusters. There can be fronts that come to the east. There can be cooler, risks that come with that at times, and it may be that back and forth look to the pattern, if that makes sense. All right, so just again, difficult to illustrate, but that's kind of what we're seeing, and the CFS kind of sees this. Watch this right here. See that's getting into that first week, into the second week of July. There's a cold front in there. All right, and then it kind of comes back with the ridge. You see how the ridge comes back, okay? And then look, the trough comes back, and so we kind of see that in the suggestion in the weather modeling. Okay, this is a look at the CFS weekly. Again, you can see hit and miss or kind of back and forth. Week 3, there could be wetter at times. Week 4, drier and wetter at times. It's just, again, it's kind of wishy-washy and back and forth. There's your temperatures. It's warm week 3, but a front might come through and make it cooler in week 4. Okay, so just something to keep in mind here is that's kind of the overarching view of the pattern is the severe weather episodes probably are not done as we continue this back and forth nature in the pattern. We look at the July forecast right now. Suggestions would be that's trying to see the drier risk in the western third of the grain belt, Central Plains, PNW, drier there, but wet and episodes of cooler in the east, in the south as well, if we were to look at the July forecast for now. So that hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea here. We've certainly had, we've had the struggle here of trying to pinpoint, is this pattern going to dry out? Are we going to, slip into a drought? And right now, I think that if there is a spot where that's possible, it's in the Central Plains. I think that overall, the warmth and the core of the dryness and the risks would be in the Central Plains, and you're just in a better spot further east that you go in the Ohio Valley in the long term. So, lot to go through, lot to dissect. We'll keep you posted. If you have questions, let us know. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.